I'm practicing to take the BU Fundamentals Exam. This video is about a drill that appears in that exam. This is today's drill. On the right-hand side are instructions for setting it up. I'm going to show you my first attempt at the drill. I'm going to show you some practicing that I did to identify weaknesses and make some improvements. And then I'm going to show you my final attempt. At the end, I'll discuss some lessons learned and some things that I need to work on. And with that being said, let's get to my garage. Okay, here is my first attempt at this drill. Let's talk about the setup. There are two adhesive donuts on the surface of the table. The first one marks the position of the object ball, which is located one diamond down and one diamond down table from the upper left corner pocket. The starting position for the cue ball is located 2 diamonds down and 1.5 diamonds down table from the corner. And what this does, it gives you a natural cut angle so that from this position you can move the cue ball after the shot to any target location on the table. So what I'm doing in the first shot here, target 1, is I'm just taking advantage of the tangent line. So the tangent line naturally goes to the first target. So I'm just putting a tiny bit of draw, basically just to counteract the natural forward motion of the cue ball to create a stun shot. And so I'm just trying to move the cue ball straight down the tangent line and land it in the first target. There are 5 targets on the table. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And again, to be successful on a shot, you just need to stop the cue ball either inside the target or overlapping the target. Now, target 2 here, I'm working on right now, that was really difficult. That was by far the most difficult for me. I was struggling a little bit here, a little apprehensive on this shot, and had a tough time controlling the speed of the shot. And I can tell just by looking at this video, I was a little tense, a little tight in my arm, and so I wasn't freely stroking. And it was just a battle the whole time, trying to figure out the right angle and figure out the right speed. I thought I got this one, but no, I didn't. So this is my last attempt at target 2. A little tense, overdrew. So I'm definitely going to need to work on that one during practice. Now looking at target 3. I wasn't sure what to put on this cue ball at first. I think I may have put a little bit of draw, a little bit of right on this. Again, trying to be cognizant of the tangent line. And I'll be honest with you, I think I got really lucky on that shot. And I know that on the second shot, I was thinking, well, I got it the first time. Now, what exactly did I do? Let's do the exact same thing again. So I, again, just tried to replicate exactly what I did. And look at there, lightning strikes twice. So I was very fortunate on target 3. I think what I did on this is I was kind of experimenting around a little bit. I think on that one, I didn't put any draw. I just put a little bit of right. So I was playing around a little bit with the Q-tip position here. And I think on this one I thought, well, let's do another adjustment. See if I can go up a little higher. Went up a little too high and it pulled the shot in short. Right, on to target 4. Now this was another one that I thought was really difficult. It's essentially the same shot as target 3. You're just only hitting it about maybe half speed. So see, that shot actually was online, just a little too far. Speed was off. Now, I don't know if it's just me, but I did think this shot was a little different than shot 3, other than speed. I noticed here and also when I was practicing later, that for some reason this shot tended to come up short from an angle perspective. Well, there it was just right, but just a little too hard. So obviously I'm going to need to work on this one in practice also. I got lucky on that one. All right, now the final target, target 5. I looked at the shot and I thought, you know, you could almost just do nothing but just pure follow. But then I was afraid it would come up a little short and come underneath to the left. So what I decided to do was just to put about maybe one tip of follow, maybe just a hair, just barely a hair of right. And that seemed to do the trick. And of course, again, speed here is obviously important. Just make sure you don't do too much with the cue ball. Try to keep it simple. And there are multiple ways to make these shots. I just chose to try to be as simple as possible and simplify things as much as I can. All right, let's go practice. Okay, here's the practice session that I did after my first attempt. I decided just to focus on targets 2 and 4. The other targets I did pretty well on, and so I thought, well, maybe I don't need to practice those so much. So I'm just going to focus on, you know, how do I control the cue ball, especially on 2. You know, how much draw, if any, do I use? How much right do I use? And also trying to think about the speed of the shot. And I'm speeding up the video here so that we're not going to be here all day. I make quite a few shots into target 4. And then I switch to target 2. Trying to focus more on keeping my stroke loose and just trusting my arm and my brain to make it happen. And I had a pretty decent success near the end of the practice session with target 2. So the key for me was just, you know, just kind of letting go and stop being so analytical with this shot and just kind of trusting that my brain would make the right calculation on how to stroke it, with the speed to use, and also snapping my wrist so that I could get kind of effortless spin on the cue ball. And it seemed to work okay. Okay, here is my final attempt. This was after a few hours of practice. And what I did in practice, I think I told you that I basically worked on targets 2 and 4. But I started writing down what I was doing on each of these shots. Like for target 1, what I decided to do was just to standardize on using like a 1/2 a tip bottom. And that's just enough to counteract the natural forward motion of the cue ball. So essentially I'm just hitting a stun shot and allowing the cue ball to travel down the tangent line. And so that's all you really have to do for target 1. I spent a good bit of time in practice working on target 2. And by the way, I know you've noticed this, but for each of these shots, I'm going to show a little graphic that shows you actually what I'm doing with the cue ball, so you can actually see how I'm hitting it. And with target 2, what I decided to do on target 2 is simplify. There's no need to put any right or left on this cue ball. All you really have to do is about a 1.5 tip of draw. just get the speed right, which is helpful if you keep your wrist loose. Another thing I didn't mention prior to this is because the object ball is so close to the corner pocket, there's actually an opportunity here to do what's called cheating the pocket. And what cheating the pocket means is you can actually change the cut angle on your object ball and still make the shot, but you can make the ball in the middle of the pocket, you can make the ball on one of the edges of the pocket, and what that does is it allows you to control the angle that the cue ball comes off of the object ball. So that's another variable to consider. I didn't really mention that here anywhere. For me, just to keep it simple, I tried to always make the object ball into the dead center of the pocket. That way it's just one less variable to have to deal with. So I actually did pretty good on target 2. So I was happy with that result. So now on to target 3. Target 3, I used about 1 tip of right and maybe a 1/4 tip of top. And for me, that just seemed to work. I was actually surprised that I needed a little bit of top on this. That was counterintuitive to me. You may find that based on how you shoot, you might disagree. That's great. That's fine. Do what works for you. For me, most of the time, just a tiny, tiny bit of top for some reason just helped the shot. Didn't help me in that last shot, but overall it was pretty consistent. Yeah, I didn't do so well on target 3 this time around. So maybe I should have practiced that one. Okay, here comes the dreaded target 4. Let's see if I made any improvements. So I decided to use 1 tip of right and about just a hair of follow, maybe an 1/8. Speed is still a little bit of a challenge. And I'm going to provide you guys with the cheat sheet at the end that shows you all of the cue ball control diagrams. Another thing I should mention is pre-shot routine. I'm trying to treat every shot the same. Again, just to eliminate variables. Keep things simple. So not too bad. And now target 5. I decided to go with my previous shot, which was about 1 tip of follow and just a hair of right, just a tiny, tiny bit, like an 1/8 of a tip. And what I find myself doing is once I get down on this shot, once I pivot. So I usually try to start my shots with the Q-tip in the dead center of the cue ball, and then I move my tip wherever I need it to go. On this shot, what I tend to do is move the tip, get ready to shoot. And then in my brain, I immediately go, okay, forget everything else. Just think about the speed of the shot, speed of the shot, speed of the shot. And then I'll let the shot go. And that seems to work pretty well. And that's it. All right. right, here is the 5-shot cheat sheet that I promised you guys. As a suggestion, you could take your phone out, take a picture of it, and that way when you get to the table, you have it there with you. Let's talk about the solutions that I used. For target 1, I used a half a tip of bottom. Target 2, about 1.5 tips of bottom. Target 3, I used 1 tip of right and just a hair of top, maybe about a quarter tip of top. Target 4, I used 1 tip of right and then about 1/8 of a tip of top, so just a little bit. And then target 5, I used 1 tip of top and just a hair of right, like maybe 1/8 of a tip. That seemed to work really well for me. As far as speeds go, you're just going to have to get on the table and see what works for you. But I think with this information, it'll get you about 95% there. I just need to put in the time to figure out the speed. If you find this information to be useful, I would really appreciate it if you could like and subscribe, maybe even leave a comment, and I will continue to make similar videos in the future. Lessons learned. So what did I learn from this drill? Well, once again, this drill did emphasize the importance of having a consistent pre-shot routine, being able to eliminate variation in your approach, your stance, etc. Really does have a big influence on the success of your shooting. This drill also really emphasized the importance of being precise and being purposeful in your application of your tip, whether you're trying to apply follow, draw, or spin of some type. It really does have a big influence on the final resting spot of the cue ball. I mean, there's a lot of people that'll say, well, no duh. Well, I mean, of course it does. But I didn't really appreciate just how important it was until I did this drill. Speed control, of course, that's always an important factor. I found in this drill that a lot of times I had the right angle and I had the right approach, but I just overran targets or fell short. And the last item was just simplifying. Some of these targets, there are multiple ways you can approach them. I decided just to take the most direct route and just go straight at the target. I just am trying to simplify my game at this point. And I figure the more simple it is, the easier it will be for me to be consistent. Billiard University was formed in 2012 by Dr. Randy and Dr. Dave, and their goal was to help pool players improve. They do this by providing skill assessment tools and resources that can really help your game. They currently offer 6 different exams for assessing your pool playing ability. But for this video series, I'm just focused on the drills that are associated with Exam 1. There are several benefits of taking the BU exams. For one, you will be able to get a sense of how good of a player you are based on your overall exam scores. Here's an example scale. You can also watch YouTube videos of some of the top pros taking the same exact exams that you can take. And here's a fun thing. Billiard University periodically sponsors contests where you can win money based upon how well you do on the drills. So what are you waiting for? You should also be taking these exams. If you enjoyed this video and want me to make more videos like this, please subscribe. Also hit the like button. Feel free to leave me a comment or a suggestion for future video topics. Stay safe and shoot well.